There are moments in life that are not extended invitations, they're divine interruptions. And right now, you are inside one of those moments. This message, though it appears as simple words on a screen, is something far greater. It is a spiritual signal, a coded frequency crafted by God for your exact season, your exact circumstance, your exact calling. The urgency you feel isn't from the outside. It's not from the volume or the format. It's not even from me. That urgency is a biochemical and spiritual recognition that what you are receiving right now matters deeply, eternally. This is not a test. This is a divine activation. There's a reason why your heart just started beating a little faster, why your focus suddenly shifted, why something inside you said, wait, don't scroll past this. This is for me. That reaction, it's not random. It's not emotional. It's neurological. Your amygdala just tagged this message as a priority. Your dopamine system just lit up with possibility. Your nervous system is reacting because it recognizes what your conscious mind hasn't fully grasped yet. This is the moment you've been praying for. The door is open, but only for a breath of time. You are the chosen one, not in ego, not in fantasy, but in responsibility. You've been marked, and marked people don't get to live by the same rhythms as the rest of the world. You've noticed that already. You've tried to fit in, haven't you? But every time you tried to follow the crowd, something pulled you back. Every time you delayed what you knew you were called to do, life got heavier. That's because the delay in obedience increases the weight of resistance. It's a law of both the brain and the spirit. The longer you hesitate, the harder it becomes to move. But when you move in sync with divine timing, the path clears, the atmosphere shifts, the momentum builds. And right now, there's momentum available to you, but it won't wait. Heaven doesn't pause for human hesitation. God gives you a window, and what you do with that window determines whether it opens further or closes indefinitely. This one is 35 seconds long, not because God is impatient, but because he's training your spirit for immediacy, for readiness, for fire. You've asked for a sign. You've asked to know whether you're really chosen, whether your life actually matters beyond the noise and the struggle. This is your confirmation. You weren't imagining the pull you've been feeling. You weren't wrong about the dream that keeps haunting you at night. You weren't delusional for thinking there was something greater on the horizon. There is, but it begins with your response. And it begins now, not after you analyze, not after you get validation, not after you feel ready. Because readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. And for those who are marked, the only correct response to divine prompting is, yes, Lord, I'm listening. I'm moving. I'm here. This is more than motivation. This is molecular. When you respond to God immediately, it rewires your brain. You become faster, clearer, sharper. Your nervous system begins to expect breakthrough. Your baseline shifts from doubt to trust, and suddenly the impossible doesn't seem so far, because the chosen one doesn't walk alone. You walk with the architecture of heaven behind you. You walk with divine surveillance, divine favor, divine acceleration. But it all depends on one thing, your response in this moment, in this sacred passing window. You've got 35 seconds and they're almost gone. So pause everything else. Forget the algorithm, forget who understands, forget what makes sense, and open the message God hand delivered to your soul. Step into the assignment. Activate the next level. This message disappears soon, but the impact of your obedience, it lasts forever. There is a suddenness to how God moves in the lives of those he has marked. And when that movement begins, it doesn't come with warning signs, lengthy instructions, or time for overthinking. It comes as a moment that demands a response, immediate, complete, and surrendered. That's where you are now. You're standing in a moment that's disguised as a message. And not just any message, this one was encoded for your exact spiritual frequency. It's the moment you've subconsciously waited for, the message your soul has whispered about during your silent battles. You've seen glimpses. You felt the tension between what is and what could be, but you couldn't quite grasp how close it all was until now. You are not ordinary. You've never been. You know this. But life has tried to bury that truth under routine, distraction, fear, and delay. And every time you questioned your identity, every time you asked why you felt different, every time you felt misplaced in rooms where others thrived easily, it wasn't because something was wrong with you. It was because something sacred was resting on you. That difference you carry isn't a flaw, it's favor. And favor rarely comes with applause at first. It usually comes with pressure. But pressure is the precursor to promotion. What you're feeling right now is the release of that pressure into clarity. You don't need more time to prepare. You've already been in training. Your pain has been preparation. Your delays have been development. And your isolation, that was God's way of protecting the download until you were ready to receive it. What you're hearing right now is both spiritual and neurological. Your nervous system is registering a truth your mind hasn't fully named yet. Your heart rate might shift, your breathing may slow, your body feels still because everything in you is aligning. The signal has reached its target, and you're the target. Not randomly, not coincidentally, but intentionally. You were chosen for this moment. Not just to hear it, but to respond, to open, to receive, to activate. You might be tempted to scroll past or second guess what you're feeling, but that hesitation isn't coming from faith, it's coming from fear. And fear is loudest right before the breakthrough. It cannot stop. Don't let fear delay your destiny again. This message is time sensitive because your calling is time sensitive. Certain opportunities are only unlocked through timely obedience. God doesn't speak casually. Every word he releases is strategic and it arrives with purpose. You are not watching or listening to this by accident. You're in the exact right place at the exact right time, receiving the exact right word. And it's not just for your encouragement, it's for your alignment. Heaven is trying to synchronize your spirit with its schedule. This is a divine checkpoint, a moment where everything either shifts forward or stays stuck in the familiar. You've been circling the same mountain for too long. You've outgrown the level you've been tolerating. That discomfort you've been feeling, that's not fatigue, that's God's nudge. That's the stretching of your spiritual container. He's enlarging your capacity because what's coming requires more space than you've had before. But none of it will happen if you delay your response. You don't need a sign after this. This is the sign. You don't need confirmation from people who can't see what you carry. You already know, you've always known. And if you act now, if you receive this without hesitation, everything begins to shift. The doors you've been knocking on open from the inside. The weight you've been carrying lifts. The answers you've been praying for become instruction, and instructions, when followed without delay, become manifestation. But you must move before the moment disappears. There is no rewind button on divine timing. There's only yes or missed opportunity. The window is open, but not for long. Don't let 35 seconds determine whether you stay in survival or step into supernatural acceleration. Obey the whisper. Move in the urgency and let the heavens respond. There are moments in life that feel ordinary on the surface, but underneath they carry the weight of eternity. This is one of those moments. What you're hearing is not just a motivational echo, it's a divine transmission. And you didn't stumble upon it, you were led, chosen, orchestrated into this encounter by something far beyond your conscious planning. You are here because heaven scheduled this moment. The words entering your ears now are not random. They're layered with intentional power, and they come with an expiration, 35 seconds. That's how long your window of response is before the internal resistance sets in. Not because God withholds, but because your neurological system is trained to ignore what it doesn't immediately understand. This is why revelation must be met with obedience. Because the longer you wait, the more your brain justifies inaction. But your spirit knows, it always knows. Right now, your spirit is vibrating. You feel the difference. It's subtle, but real. Your chest feels tighter, your breath more shallow, your skin more alert. That's not nerves, that's activation. Your nervous system is responding to divine signal. Science might call it arousal or heightened cognition, but heaven calls it awakening. And awakening requires an answer. You don't need more signs to prove that you're the chosen one. You don't need another person to validate the call on your life. You've already been through too much, seen too much, and felt too much to pretend otherwise. The dreams you've had since childhood, the visions that never die, the aching sense that you were made for more. These are not wishes, they're evidence. Evidence of a calling, a purpose, a mandate placed on your life by the very hand of God. And that mandate isn't waiting on perfect conditions, it's waiting on your yes. But here's where the battle lies, not in your heart, but in your hesitation. The enemy of destiny is not always failure, it's delay. Delay disguised as overthinking, as logic, as the right time. But destiny doesn't respond to the calendar, it responds to obedience. You can't schedule your calling, you can only surrender to it. And this right here is your surrender point. It might not look grand, it might not sound dramatic, but it's holy. This message is divine soil, and your response is the seed. When you say yes, even silently, in your heart, something unlocks in the spirit realm. The right people begin to notice you, the right doors begin to open, the right energy begins to follow you, and it all begins with one thing, your agreement. That's what 35 seconds is about. It's not about fear, it's about focus. God is giving you a concentrated window to override your natural rhythm and step into supernatural flow. So take a breath right now, tune out the noise, feel the truth of what you're hearing. You've been called out of the background, you've been pulled from the shadows, and even though you've been through a long season of preparation, isolation, and invisible obedience, the wait has not been wasted. It's been sacred. You've been formed in fire, refined in stillness, and now God is whispering, step forward. This is your moment. There are people on the other side of your yes, generations, that will be impacted because you didn't delay, you didn't scroll past. You didn't dismiss this as another message. You knew and you acted. That's what separates the called from the chosen, the response. So respond now, not when it's convenient, not when you feel qualified, but now. That's where the power is. And as you say yes, the wind of heaven will carry you farther than effort ever could. You are hearing this because something inside you is already awake. Maybe you haven't had the words for it. Maybe the people around you haven't understood it, but deep within, you've always known you were marked for something more. Not louder, not flashier, deeper. You weren't designed to blend in. You were designed to carry a specific light, an assignment that can't be imitated or transferred. And right now, God is reminding you, not softly, but urgently. This message has a timestamp on it for a reason. It's not about panic, it's about precision. 35 seconds. That's how long it takes for the natural mind to begin arguing with a spiritual invitation. And before the logic tries to mute this signal, heaven wants your heart to say yes. Because when God releases a message like this, it's never general, it's surgical. He's aiming directly at the parts of you that were born for alignment, born for fire, born for glory. You're not here because of chance. You didn't stumble on this because of an algorithm or accident. You're here because your name was whispered in a sacred moment. Heaven chose now. Your response has always been the missing key. Not your qualifications, not your background, not your current emotions. You might feel tired, confused, disappointed, but none of that disqualifies you. Because when God sends a message like this, He isn't speaking to your fatigue. He's speaking to your identity. And identity doesn't shift based on feelings. It remains anchored, even in the storm. That's why you've made it this far. You've endured things that should have shut you down completely. You've faced battles that no one saw and still kept going. Not because you had all the strength, but because you were held, covered, preserved. And now, after all that process, God is asking you to recognize what you've become. Refined, focused, ready. Not perfect, but positioned. And sometimes, that's all heaven needs. Right now, something sacred is opening in you. It's quiet, but it's undeniable. Maybe your hands are tingling, or your breathing is slower, or your mind feels sharper. That's not just emotion, that's alignment. Your body knows when something eternal is happening. And this is one of those moments. A divine invitation is pressing into your life, cutting through distractions, bypassing your doubts, and speaking directly to your assignment. You don't have time to overthink. The opportunity won't linger in the natural realm. Some portals close as fast as they open. This is one of them. And here's why that matters. Obedience under pressure builds spiritual momentum. It trains your mind to move in sync with the Spirit, and that is how acceleration happens. You stop waiting for confirmation and start operating from conviction. Conviction that says, even if I don't have the whole picture, I trust the one who sent the signal. That's faith. That's fire. And that's what moves heaven. There's a deeper layer to this message. It's not just about your breakthrough, it's about who your breakthrough will unlock. You're not just chosen for favor, you're chosen for impact. You're not the end goal, you're the doorway. There are people, families, generations waiting on the other side of your yes. People who won't move until you move. People who won't rise until you rise. That's the weight and beauty of being chosen. It's not about ego, it's about responsibility. And the moment you accept that, everything changes. You don't chase opportunities, they begin to chase you. You don't beg for access, the doors begin to recognize your name. And you don't question your worth because you've come into agreement with heaven's blueprint for your life. That agreement starts here, right now, in this window, in these last few seconds. Don't let time steal your response. Say yes, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, even if you don't know what the next step is. Say yes, and the rest will unfold in ways you never imagined. You are not hearing this by coincidence. That stirring you feel right now, that inner pulse that something is shifting, is your spirit recognizing divine alignment. This moment isn't part of a routine, it's not background noise, it's a sacred interruption, a holy notification that the next chapter of your assignment is pressing against your present. You've been asking God for clarity, for confirmation, for something unmistakable, and now it's here. It doesn't look dramatic, but don't let the subtlety deceive you. God often moves in silence before he moves in power. The message you're hearing is precise. It is aimed directly at the parts of you that have been waiting, yearning, and battling to come alive again. But here's the urgency. Heaven's invitations are time sensitive, not because God is limited, but because your opportunity is layered in divine timing. There is an anointing on this moment that will not sit still. 35 seconds. That's how long it takes before the human brain starts rationalizing the supernatural. And heaven is moving faster than your logic can catch up. You are the chosen one. That's not just a spiritual label, it's a spiritual reality. It means you've been selected, set apart, and sealed with a purpose that doesn't fit the mold of average. You were never called to blend in. You've always sensed the tension of being different, and at times it's made you feel disqualified. But God doesn't call the comfortable, he calls the committed. And your difference has always been divine evidence. The pain you've experienced, the loneliness you've endured, the opposition you've faced, it wasn't punishment, it was proof. Proof that your life is marked, that you're carrying something that cannot be explained by logic alone. You've been shaped by storms but not broken. You've been delayed but not denied. And this message is not introducing you to your identity, it's reactivating it. Because deep down, you already know who you are. You've just been waiting for heaven to confirm it louder than the noise around you. There is a system within your biology that responds to divine timing. Your body is not just flesh. It's a responsive vessel. That feeling you have right now, that weight in your chest, that stillness in your spirit, that sensation that something holy is near, that's real. Your nervous system is aligning with something eternal. In neuroscience, we call this a heightened state of awareness. In the kingdom, it's called an open heaven. And that window doesn't stay open long. You don't need to understand the entire path to take the next step. Your job is not to see the whole picture. It's to say yes to the frame that's in front of you. And this frame, the one you're in right now, is drenched in purpose. If you delay, you'll miss the timing. But if you respond, everything changes. Destiny never waits on convenience. It moves with the ones who are willing to move before they feel ready. This is more than a personal breakthrough, it's a spiritual relay. Your obedience in this moment doesn't just shift your life, it creates ripples. There are people who will find freedom because you said yes. People who will discover purpose because you stood up. Every generational curse you've been fighting, it ends with your decision to respond now. Every limitation that's run through your family line is confronted by your courage. You are not just stepping into a moment, you're stepping into a mandate. And mandates carry weight, but they also carry momentum. When God breathes on a person's yes, things accelerate that years of effort could never produce. That's what's available to you right now. Acceleration, clarity, divine access. But it won't linger, it's waiting on your decision. Heaven doesn't wait for perfect conditions, it waits for surrendered hearts. You don't have to know how it will unfold, you just have to trust who's calling. This message will vanish. That's not a threat, that's a spiritual principle. The windows of God are never permanent in the natural realm. They open to test your response, and then they shift. What you feel now, this intensity, this invitation, this clarity, it is a glimpse into what's possible if you respond. 35 seconds of stillness, 35 seconds of courage. That's all it takes to partner with heaven. So this is your moment. Not next week, not after you feel more worthy, right now. The next level of your life is not waiting for more qualifications, it's waiting for your yes. Say it boldly, say it trembling, say it in faith. Just don't miss the window. Because the glory coming after this response will outweigh everything that tried to stop you before.